ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. I am very, very excited to bring you some questions I got to ask the Unleashed Games team about Paragon 2 yesterday. And well, I wanted to provide those answers to you. Pretty much everything that we talked about, I can disclose to you, as we're very, very forthcoming, and it was a true joy. Before we get into it, you have to realize that it is still in development. It is basically pre-alpha. Literally everything is up to... It's up in the air. Everything can change. Likely will change just a little bit or a lot. Who knows? So just know these are not promises. Some of them may be, but they're very general. Stuff like that. So just be reasonable with your expectations as I deliver these answers to you. There's 120 of them. They couldn't answer all of them, or else we would have been talking till still probably. So they're going to get back to me with a lot of these questions and answers. Don't worry, there's still a lot to cover, so let's just dive right into it. How much like Legacy and Monolith is the new map going to be like? Well, they're listening to the community. The community wants Legacy, so it will be more similar to Legacy. It sounds like it'll basically be Legacy, but obviously changes with some things from Monolith brought in as well. How will Paragon 2 be monetized? It's intended to be free to play, microtransactions almost guaranteed, at least in my opinion, likely, but not pay to win in any way. Not pay to win in any way. And I had to ask though, do they consider locked heroes, right? Kind of like League, where heroes are locked to you, but unless you want to buy them or unlock them with in-game currency, they don't consider that pay to win. So that is an option they are looking at, as long with a lot of other things. Seasons, battle passes, like they're really trying to do the research. They're very much into research and looking at best practices as to see how they can monetize this system and what's most appropriate for the platform. What is the itemization going to look like? Itemization, your cards, your stuff like that, your equipment that you use in the match, old card system, new, more like pre-version 42 with purchasable upgrades in tiers. To me, that sounds kind of like kind of a Smitey system, right? With your upgrades and there's different tiers, or just like Dota and League. I'm assuming more like pre-version 42. Still, everything is in the works. They're developing their own kind of system. Will all cards, items, etc. be unlocked for all players? Well, they haven't really nailed down exactly what the itemization system is, so it's hard to answer that question, but it's undetermined. They want the competitive nature to be preserved. It's intended to make it competitive in nature. They really had a good focus on the competitive nature. What is the in-game economy system, including hero experience? So how do you collect currency inside the game? How do you level your hero up? It's established. They may get back to me, they may not, and I think they're just unwilling to forego that you know, at this time, and that's completely their prerogative, and they can do that. Will there be a card shop? They are certainly leaning towards a shop-like concept. It won't be called a shop or something like that, but definitely leaning towards a shop-like concept. What platforms will the game be available on? PC, PS4, Xbox. They're developing it for PC, but are fully intended on having it for the PS4 and the Xbox. And the Xbox after that, or something like that. At least that's what I get. Again, not all of this is promises. I'm just trying to tell you guys what's up. Developing for PC, fully intended also for PS4, and exploring Xbox as well. What platforms will have crossplay? The intentions are to fully explore crossplay as much as possible. If there is crossplay, how will gameplay be balanced accordingly? I mean, I'm kind of asking a question that requires the answer to a previous one that they don't have, but if there is, they fully intended to be fair and balanced as much as possible. What will bring back old Paragon players? Kind of didn't really have too much of an answer for that, but they do definitely recognize that that there's kind of two different players of the old Paragon. There's legacy Paragon players, and then there's monolith Paragon players, and those aren't necessarily the same kind of players. Really, if I was to answer that question, it would be, well, the vision of Paragon, what it looks like, the whole legacy style that they're kind of trying to go for. It seems that, in my opinion, will bring back old Paragon players and of the competitive nature. What will bring in new Paragon 2 players, you know, when they launch, listening and being transparent to the community. They are thinking, they're trying to really come up with ways to have that transparency there and be more competitive in nature. Have a true competitive platform for people to compete, to have to test their mettle, have fun, that sort of thing. So that is what they think will bring in new Paragon 2 players. When and will there be a beta playtest? There is an internal goal. They wouldn't share it with me, but it's as soon as possible. I'm sure the internal goal has a date to it, but as soon as possible. What, in your opinion, was a downfall of Paragon? Lots of reasons. I think the main one, in their opinion, was the switch of vision. The fact so much resources, so much was banked on one vision of Paragon, this legacy Paragon, and then they switched it. Had to redo all of this resource, all of these assets for another vision. That, in my opinion, to kind of what was why Paragon wasn't on a complete straight line trajectory into success. What, in your opinion, will be the uprise of Paragon 2? They really, really, really value the feedback of the community, from casual to competitive players. You even go onto their Discord channel, you can see a ton. There's just the other day, I think I found a ton of just polls, and they're asking like pretty big questions, and they're just, you know, polls what people want, and it really does sound like they're taking this and then implementing as much as they can. How much will the Paragon heroes stay the same? They have a massive focus. They are really focused on the gameplay and the mechanics and how does it feel, how does it work. They're really focused on that. So they said they didn't have specifics, but they're changing the heroes to serve that. So if they find heroes that don't serve the high focus that they have on gameplay and stuff like that, then they will definitely change it. So that's kind of exactly what you want to hear, in my opinion. This was a tricky one. What are the runner-ups for the title of Paragon 2? I'm assuming they have multiple options that they're trying to come up with, or they're trying to decide on. They wouldn't tell me. I think they will, but I just won't be able to say. Soon. What is the intended average match length? They didn't want to nail it down too much. They're almost pre that stage yet. But definitely not 2-hour matches. Definitely not 2-hour matches. In my opinion, definitely not 1.5-hour matches. And I almost want to say not 1-hour matches. To be honest with you. So take that as it is. How would you describe the average time to kill? That was kind of a little bit of a nebulous question. That is yet to be determined. In general, what previous Paragon patch best represents what Paragon 2 strives to become? Again, they had a really hard time nailing down exactly what patch, but they're definitely pulling from a lot of different patches, and there's a few things that we were discussing that I started to see, oh yeah, that was from this patch, that was from this patch, and they're trying to, you know, there's good things of, pretty much good things of about in every patch, but they're really kind of pulling from everything, so I can see how it's a bit hard to nail down internally when they know of all the stuff that's going on. What heroes will be seen on release, and if not all of them, when should we expect the rest of them to be released? Intended to release all heroes open in the Unreal Marketplace. If you go in the Unreal Marketplace, there's a little less than 20 of them so far. You guys can go and check out which ones they are. You can check out the trailer, which ones are in there. But Epic is actually planning on releasing more of the assets later this year, so they're hoping they can get their hands on even more assets and then work those in and release those eventually as well. Will there be more than one game mode? Absolutely, but the 5v5 is primary, but another one is definitely in the works. That was a good focus from the discussion as well. Definitely more than one. Definitely. So we're going to see how that comes to fruition. Will there be more than one map? Other maps to open up more game modes is something that they're doing. 3v3 or 4v4 or something like that may require another map, so they are definitely thinking about other maps to open up more game modes. Will there be different leagues such as unranked, ranked, quick match, etc., like a sort of thing? Definitely at least a quick match and a competitive match. So basically just unranked and ranked. They're definitely at least an unranked and a ranked. At least. Amazing. Freaking amazing. How complex will the heroes be by design? So this is kind of talking about how low is the skill ceiling, or how high is the skill ceiling, how low is the skill floor, how easy is it to play a hero, how hard is it to master. Their philosophy: easy to learn, difficult to master. Easy to learn, difficult to master. I'm sure some heroes are a little harder to learn, or a little easier to learn, a little easier to master. Like that is needed, that variety is needed, but easy to learn, difficult to master, high skill ceiling, low skill floor. With very, very important top-down balancing. Top-down balancing. Very, very, very important to balance top-down. What is the pinnacle of what a hero can do with maximum skill, and then balancing it down that way. Absolutely, absolutely, very, very crucial. How many of the skins will be in the game? Way too early for them to be thinking about. How big is the company of Unleashed Games? Almost 50 people at this point. Can we see an org chart of the company? It's actually no. I will see one. You can't. I just want to get a sense of, like, you know, what's the company like? They definitely obviously have very many teams. Just wanted to see, maybe I'm a visual person, so that's why this question is in there. What is your general hero design philosophy? Again, kind of almost the same question as before. Easy to learn, difficult to master. Will there be strict hero roles, as in tank, carry, assassin, mage, caster, support, stuff like that, like strict roles? They don't want to limit any specific hero too much. Yeah, they kind of, those kind of it. They want to leave things kind of open. At least that was the impression I got from their answer for that. Will there be voice chat? Full intentions on making voice chat. Absolutely. Full intentions on making voice chat. Will there be an all in-game chat, meaning in the game can both teams talk to each other? We kind of had a laugh at that. I'd laugh at that, and we're joking about how horrifying that sounds. But a little bit of banter there. Kind of a horrifying idea, but I don't know. I wouldn't mind, to be honest with you. Will there be harvesters? That is under considerations. Will there be more lore for the characters? Not even yes. Absolutely. Will there be travel mode? No. They're trying to nail down movement in the game still, but pretty much determined no travel mode. Will there be some sort of a community corner sort of thing? They're definitely looking into a very transparent method or medium for communication between the developers and the community. They want to make something very much prevalent, very much a thing that the community goes to and the developers go to have a very transparent method of communication. What things are going, like kind of like a pseudo form, but much more transparent, much more kind of just a hub, I suppose, between the two communities. Will there be fog walls? This is where we're kind of like, wow, this is taking forever. So let's kind of pick and choose some of these questions. They will be getting back to me, I hope, on a lot of these questions. So sorry about that. What map objectives are being designed? They haven't considered any large change to what Paragon ended up with. So that, to me, I'm assuming means, you know, or Prime, Fangtooth, just tweaking those. At least that's kind of what I got from their answer. Will there be a dunking mechanic? They are looking into it. What will hero and account mastery systems look like? Wasn't a clear answer to this. It wasn't quite known yet, but probably similar to other MOBAs. What hero and your account mastery systems be? Will there be a guild clan system in place? I think I forgot to write it down. Definitely considering, I think. Perhaps I would definitely urge them to definitely think about something like that for sure. Will there be a quick match league where you select a role before queuing for a match? Definitely considering that. Will there be a league where you select a role after joining a match, so you have your draft lobby? Definitely considering that. What will the patch update schedule look like? Throughout the development process, they hope to do weekly updates of the development process, and then the patch cycle depends on what servers they go for, what that service looks like. I would say hopefully every week, but stuff like that. And as you can see, lots of these questions we started to not be able to answer just due to time, but they will be coming back as some of these questions are now getting much more specific. Will there be a replay system? That, even myself thinking about that, is a much bigger. That's a very convenient. It's a convenience system, right? It really doesn't affect core gameplay, but it very much affects the competitive scene, which I did mention. Obviously, they will eventually be looking into that. I got some funny questions here from viewers, and again, I did ask them about toxicity, and they did seem very passionate about finding ways to eventually mediate it and try to have none, I suppose. So that is very good, because that is a hard thing for it's a hard thing for this genre, I think, to deal with naturally. What is the intended approach to community feedback? That was more like, will you actually implement things that the community wants? They're very open to community feedback, and I think already they kind of proven that they are very much, you know, willing to accept and implement community feedback. And it's kind of interesting because almost their entire staff is ex-Paragon players who are from the community. So, I mean, they are kind of the community already, but of course, the rest of the community that comes up to play the game they have to be listened to and implemented as well. I thought this was a important question. What is the philosophy behind towers/siege objectives in Paragon 2? They definitely want to penalize tower diving and are definitely exploring additive damage. So little more commitment to making these objectives more of a objective on the map, as that's kind of what a MOBA is. In my opinion, the ultimate objective is to destroy a non-PvP objective. And, you know, it came from an RTS. That's what the genre came from. And I think it's a really important, very, very important part of the genre itself. There's a really funny question. Will I be able to summon an Orb Prime Guardian to fight when I get a kill streak? That was a kind of a funny little question. That, of course, it's just not going to happen. Are there any issues, legal or otherwise, known about with making a Paragon 2 game with the assets released from Epic? They have made contact with Epic. It sounds like they've gotten basically the all clear. There isn't any known issues as of this point with them making a game that's not called Paragon, that doesn't use the IP story and background, which is why they have to not redo the lore, but develop it into their own. And they do have a legal team that, you know, is making sure that there aren't any issues and that they look into it to find them. So it's looking good from this point that there isn't an issue with them making Paragon 2, whatever it's going to be called. What is the philosophy behind stealth and vision? Invisibility, it will be there. It will be there. They are exploring options of, you know, bushes and shadow pads and things to stealth your hero, as that's a very important thing in a MOBA. So it will be there, some form or another. What is your philosophy on crowd control? This turned into a bigger, little bit of a bigger discussion, as it's a needed mechanic. It really is. They also, though, understand how balance is very, very important in this regard, and they are very, very much willing to work with their top competitive scene developers and the community to make sure that that is balanced and make crowd control relevant but not overpowered and not unbalanced, not conducive to bad gameplay. Very, very aware of that, and they're very they really want it to be competitive in their game. Will there be API support for third-party sites like Agora and Elo stuff and all that? Definitely not opposed to the idea. Again, that's far down in their development. How will community members, YouTubers, streamers, etc. be supported and involved? They definitely made a big thing about this. They, like, I was talking to them, right, so early in development, so that itself speaks to their commitment in definitely giving as much support as possible to the competitive scene and streamers, and definitely work with content creators. They are, again, going back to that other question, they really want to make something like a round table or something where YouTubers, streamers, competitive scene can come together and collaborate and communicate and try to make a really positive influence on each other. So I'm really excited to see what that comes from. Will it be launched through Steam? There's no answer yet for that. As they're still just trying to make the game, really, from the bottom up. Is there a focus on facilitating competitive play in a competitive scene? Absolutely. They in their opinion think that is how Paragon 2, whatever it's going to be called, is going to distinguish itself. It will be a highly competitive game that they, you know, they're dreaming. They want it to take over League, take over Dota. They want it to be absolutely huge, absolutely focus on the comp scene. Very, very large focus. What is the philosophy behind balancing and updating? As we said before, top down, working with the competitive scene and other influencers. What is the vision for Paragon 2? That turned into a big discussion as well. Like, what's the ultimate dream? What's the goal? What's it all about? Again, develop a player-friendly MOBA environment, easy to learn, hard to master, that can be extremely competitive and rewarding. They want to compete with League of Legends, Dota. They want to be a AAA company. So, will Sylphin be a job? No. So there you guys go. those are the questions and some answers. Let me know down in the comments what you guys think. A lot of these questions, again, that aren't answered, they're going to try to answer as much as they can, hopefully relatively soon. So there you guys go. A lot of questions, a lot of answers. I am honestly very, 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 very excited. Let me know down in the comments if you are, and also if there are any questions